So, last we left off, Cuthbert was sleeping on the stairs, and Travis was jumping over him, but woke Cuthbert. He grabbed his ankle, right? And he was trying to undo the locks on the door. There were three locks. Okay, so Cuthbert paused at the top of the stairs and yelled down, "You won't get very far, kid. I think it's time to teach you a good lesson." He shook the cane in the air and took one step forward. Before he could react, his foot was sliding off the layer of ice with which Santa had covered the whole staircase. He fell onto his backside and began a bumpy, swift descent on the stairs. Travis was releasing the third and final lock as Cuthbert neared the bottom. The youngster wasted no time in swinging open the door and running across the front porch. Cuthbert was still in pursuit, but not in control, as he continued sliding across the floor and right through the open doorway. "Yee!" he screamed when he realized he was headed straight for the metal handrail. He came to a very uncomfortable stop with his legs straddling it and his extended tongue firmly stuck to the ice-cold metal. Travis was only halfway down the front stairs when he started calling out, "Help! Help me! I've been kidnapped!" he screamed, and he stopped after looking around, realizing he was now quite safe. Standing right across the street was Officer Lynn Douglas and 4 members of the road and water departments. They had responded to the frozen water main alarm and had just arrived with their equipment. "Say, isn't that the lost boy we saw on TV?" asked one of the workers. "Looks like him to me," said another, and they rushed over to his side as Officer Douglas radioed for additional police to come. She had no doubt in her mind that it was Travis, having memorized his photo. She was greatly relieved to see him in person. "Well, Travis, you certainly had a lot of people concerned about where you've been," she said. "It was him," Travis replied, pointing to the pathetic figure frozen to the railing at the top of the stairs. "He kidnapped me and tried to make me his slave." "Well now," said Officer Douglas, climbing the steps towards Cuthbert, "didn't your parents ever tell you not to put your tongue onto frozen metal?" He mumbled, unable to form words in his current predicament. "Save it for the judge, sir," she instructed, as she immediately handcuffed his wrists behind his back. Another police car arrived, and the policeman had a good laugh at the sight of Cuthbert still stuck to the railing, and Officer Douglas instructed them to take over. "Can you please process this guy? I've got an important delivery to make." She gently put her arm around Travis's shoulder and guided him over to her patrol car and out of the cold night air. Santa and Oglethorpe had watched the whole thing from the shadows of the front hallway and were pleased to see it turn out so well. Oglethorpe was anxious to retrieve the bell, and he started vibrating his ear tips to get a response from it. "I believe our young friend took the bell with him," said Santa. "Oh, my goodness! What will we do now?" said Oglethorpe. "Why don't we let him keep the bell?" replied Santa. "The most important thing was to help rescue Travis, and we've managed to do that. So let's get back to the sleigh." And in the blink of an eye, they were standing on the roof beside the reindeer. "All in all, it was a job well done, Oglethorpe," said Santa, climbing into the sleigh. "Now it's time to get back home and help with the final preparations for this year's big trip." "I guess you're right, Santa," he paused, thinking about Natalie's special belief and Travis's renewed faith in the magic of Christmas. "No, I'm sure you are right. Travis and Natalie will be wonderful guardians of the sleigh bell," declared Oglethorpe as he crawled under the warm fur blanket. "But do you think we could make one more stop before heading back, please?" The reindeer responded to Santa's silent command with the reins, and they quickly moved forward and up into the sky as Oglethorpe explained what he wished to do. Jim and Susan had reluctantly agreed to leave the rescue headquarters. They had been there for most of the day, and at the insistence of all the volunteers, they left to take Natalie home to bed. She was still brimming with confidence that her friend from the North Pole was going to help find Travis. Anxiously, she ran ahead of her parents and opened the door to the house She quickly removed her boots and then ran up to her room with her coat still on. Jim and Susan paused on the porch and looked back across the front yard. The snow from the storm was still fluffy and white, and their neighbors' yards were glowing with Christmas decorations. Any other time they would have marveled at the sight, but now they hardly even noticed. "I hope he's all right," said Susan. "I'm sure he is," replied Jim. "It's a feeling I've got that I can't explain, but I know he is okay." He had no sooner said this when they noticed the flashing lights. It looked as if someone's Christmas display had gone haywire, and they realized it was a police car only when it reached the house. As soon as the car came to a stop, the passenger door flew open and Travis jumped out. "Mom! Dad!" he called, running up the walk to the porch. "Travis!" yelled Jim, his face breaking into the biggest smile he had ever had. "Oh, honey, you're okay," said Susan, and she bent down and opened her arms as wide as her son ran directly into her embrace. He dropped his knapsack, and the contents partly spilled out onto the porch, but no one even noticed. Are you okay? Aren't you? You are?" "I'm okay now, Mom. Some creepy guy took me to his apartment and tried to make me do all sorts of dumb chores around his building. But the whole time I was there, I was trying to get away. And when I saw you guys on TV and you weren't angry with me, well, I just kept trying until I escaped." "Pardon me, folks," it was Officer Douglas. She had followed Travis up the path. "We have taken the man into custody and will need a full statement from Travis, but it can wait until tomorrow morning. I'm sure you've got some catching up to do." "Thank you, officer. You did a great job," said Jim. "To be honest with you, sir, it was just luck. I was checking a broken water main, and it was like magic, the way Travis came running out of a building just as I was standing there." "It was magic," exclaimed Natalie, who had come back out onto the porch. "Santa magic." The adults chuckled and the officer smiled as she said goodnight and went back to her car. The family was standing on the porch, hugging each other and waving to the officer as the vehicle pulled away. Travis started thinking, "You know, it was kind of like magic, the way the key to the room I was in just slid under the door to me." "And the candy canes," said Natalie. "Candy canes? What candy canes?" asked her father. "These ones!" she exclaimed proudly, handing out one to each of them. She had found them on her pillow in her room. That was the quick stop of Oglethorpe had Santa to make before returning to the North Pole. "I'll bet Santa was here and left them just for us." Jim looked at Susan and silently motioned to the candy canes they now held. She shook her head slowly, then motioned back to him and received the bewildered denial. "Well, anyway, I'm glad it's all over. And to celebrate, we're going to buy whatever toys you wished for Christmas," proclaimed Jim. Travis didn't hesitate for a second and replied, "I've already got what I wished for, and that was to be back home with all of you, celebrating Christmas like always." Natalie saw the sleigh bell laying on top of Travis's sweater on the porch. She quickly picked it up and showed it to everyone. "Travis, did you have this when you made a wish to be back home?" Yeah. I was holding it and even ringing it a little." "Then you really do believe in the magic of Christmas, and Santa was able to come and help you. You see, you've got to believe for the magic to work." "I've never believed in it more than I do right now," declared Travis. "You too, Mommy? Daddy? Do you believe?" questioned Natalie. "Yes, honey, I've always believed," replied Susan. "I may have forgotten how to believe for a little while, but I'm the most believing dad in the whole city," proclaimed Jim. With that, Natalie rang the bell, and for the first time her parents heard the special sound it made. They stood in silence, appreciating the beauty of its song. Suddenly, in the distance, they heard a similar sound, not from just one sleigh bell, but from many. Everyone turned and looked up to the sky. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary. Aside from the moon and the stars, a few clouds dotted the heavens, and then they noticed a swirling mass of snow crossing in front of the moon. The wonderful sound seemed to be coming from that direction. An airplane? Asked Susan. I don't think so, said Travis. Maybe an echo, suggested Jim. Maybe a special friend, heralded Natalie, as she continued ringing the bell. Merry Christmas, Santa! She called out, waving and shouting, Thank you, Oglethorpe! Merry, Merry Christmas! Enriched by the magic of that moment, they all lingered on the porch, listening to the sound of the bells fading into the distance. The magic sleigh bell was put in a place of honor by the fireplace mantel that night. Inspired by the bell, the whole family together completed the decorating and began their celebration. This was going to be the best Christmas they had ever had. The end. And may I be the first to wish you in April a Merry Christmas. Took us a while, but it was well worth it. I hope you enjoyed.